Hi, welcome back to another TerranScapes video. In this video I wanted to show you some snowboards that are a work in progress. The snowboards have a variety of features scattered across them, and so I wanted to take a look at those features, show you a little bit about them before I add the snow to them, and that way especially particularly the customer can make any suggestions on some modifications. And sometimes it's nice for me to set them aside for a few days and then come back and take a look at them with a fresh eye, and I'm already thinking I might modify something. But more importantly, the customer made a suggestion for a change, an addition to the boards midway through, and this is the perfect time to make that suggestion before they get any snow on them. And so I wanted to show you what that suggestion was and how I thought I might handle it. So let's take a closer look overall at the boards, and I'll give you a little sense of where they're going. So first thing I wanted to take a look at were the crevasse and the frozen lake boards. Now the crevasse boards have been a bit of a challenge. I actually went back and took a look at a lot of ice fissures after I had done the preliminary carving and realized that they typically actually do have pretty straight vertical sides. Now, I also had somebody suggest in some of the comments about mimicking torsional strains and how that might affect cracks and folds and whatnot. And quite frankly, at this point, I wasn't ready to go back in and redo the whole boards because I had put a fair amount of time into them as it is, and some of it my own. So what I decided to do was to try to modify the existing crevasses to try to improve their look and bring them a little bit more in line with the realism of the actual, to make them look a little bit more realistic. Blah blah blah. How many words can I use to say something simple? So what I did is I went back in, cut them vertically, and left and then reshaped some of the tops to make them look a little bit more jagged. Then I went in and I painted them with darkening blues down into the interior. And painting them was a bit of a challenge. I did some painting from beneath. And this is going to get, of course, a sheet over it of thin styrene that will be black painted so that when you look down from the top, it'll look like a flat black bottom. So painting these was a bit of a trick, carving them was a bit of a trick, and actually I went in and pretty aggressively brushed out some of the hairs that were resulting from the cutting. That was tough to clean out. And I'm not 100% happy with them, I'll be honest with you, but I think when the snow goes down, it's going to radically change their appearance, and it's going to really bring them together. And so basically, once the snow goes on, and if you saw my previous snow video, go back a little bit where I was doing some experiments, the snow will flow, and I will make it happen, the snow will flow a little bit over the lip. I think it's going to come over in a thin sheet, that's the goal, and to give a little top dressing to the edges of these. So some of the sort of irregular top look here that you see is going to disappear, actually, and then you're going to be left with the vertical sides in the interior, and I think that is going to bring them up several notches in appearance. So while I was a little dismayed as I've been working on them and some of the extra work I've put in my own time to fix my own mistakes, I feel like they're going to come out pretty well, but I wanted to give you a little sense of what they look like before so you can see them after they get the snow. So those are representative of what the crevasse boards are looking like at the moment. For the frozen lakes, now of course this looks all glossy at the moment, but this will not look like this at the end. So what can you expect with this? Well, first, just to show you how I got it to this point, I painted the center a very, very dark, almost black, and then I faded it out to a very icy blue on the perimeter. When I started filling this with resin, I was tinting it with the ice blue color, and I realized that didn't look quite right. Partly because it was far too blue around the edges, and the ice itself looked too blue. So I went in and I did actually 2 successive coatings above that with white tinted into it to give it more of a frosted look. Now what's going to happen, the plan here for this is to then build up snow along the sides and have that flow onto the ice, as these are really supposed to be exposed ice patches rather than an open frozen lake, right? This is going to be patches of ice that are open. And then when I dust over some areas with the snow and seal that down with a matte, that's going to give this a matte finish instead of this high gloss finish from the Envirotex, and that I think is going to make it really pop like ice. That's been my experience doing smaller ice patches in some of the GW Realm of Battle boards in the skull pits, so I think these are going to look pretty good actually when they're done. While we're looking at this board, you can also see what I've done is I've built up a drift here, and all of the plain boards have some of these drifts. Well, not all of them, most of them have some of these drifts. And then what I've done is I've just lightly frosted it with the ice blue with the airbrush, as my experiences with the blue in the past, those in that previous video, whoop, that's the previous thumb, it showed me that if it was too blue, it would look too strong. So I just gave it a light frosting, and the snow should be relatively thin here, and if it looks too blue, I can just dust it with more snow and modulate its color that way. So that's pretty much how I'm handling those mounds. Try to make them look a little deeper and then give them a little blue to give a little color variation on the boards. But this is all done with flex paste, although I think cheaper acrylic caulking might work just as well and probably be about half the price. The nice thing about the flex paste, though, is you can build it up, dries pretty quickly, doesn't crack very much, and you can pretty easily shape it. So anyway, that's how those were done. Flex paste is a Woodland Scenics product if you're not familiar with it. So that's the thoughts on those. Now, taking a look at the hill boards, here's a shot. Let's see if I can hold it back here so you can see one hill. What I did is I took it and really tapered it down, did some more sanding, filled in with some flex paste, built up a little bit around the front here, did a little transition, built it up a little bit here, and then when the snow comes onto that, then of course some snow will be sitting in some of these recesses in the carved out stone, that sort of idea. And then I've tried to create some overhangs that I can, hang a few icicles from, something like that. So I really felt pretty good once I painted this up and got a look at it. Here you can see again one of those mounds with a slight ice blue painting and a little ice blue here. But I think I'm going to need to go in with a little bit more flex paste, maybe to get underneath here, and also maybe to build up some slightly higher mounds. I've been adding it in slow layers, building it up over time because I didn't want it to be too strong, and I wasn't sure how much to add. So I think a little bit more on this one, but not too much. But on the second hill board, I think it's going to need a bit more. So here's the second hill board. I tried to go for 3 individual tiers rather than just the 2 on the previous one. Now one of the difficulties with putting a large hill like this on here and giving it some real space is that they ended up looking a little bit angular. You can kind of see that angular look. And looking at it today, actually, after having set it aside for a little while, I'm not too pleased with that, actually. Now, you can see me here starting to build up a layer and trying to, modify the front facing of the stones, but I think it's going to need a little bit more. So I think what I'm going to do is really take this mound, whoops, keep it in frame, sorry about that, is really build up this mound a little bit more, and possibly even build up a mound, maybe even like here to take off one of the corners of this. That's going to take a couple days to dry probably because that'll be a little bit thicker, but I think that would really add a lot to this. So that's the plan for this right now. Now the customer had originally asked for a cave on the board sets, and I haven't done the cave yet. Actually I probably should have put it on one of these boards. Depending on the size, though, before I do any modifications, one thought would be to open up, say, in this area here. Now, it depends on the size that the customer wants, so that's kind of why I'm asking at this point. If it's supposed to be something really large that can accept a large model very easily, I may have to do a separate structure to house that, if that's something that's definitely wanted. But otherwise, I could do a small opening here, and I left it a little bit uncertain as to how to finish it with that thought in mind. So the last thing to talk about was a late in the game suggestion, but an excellent one I thought, which was to add some bones to the board, some dinosaur bones or large animal bones, something like that. I haven't done this before, so I really did a pretty thorough search of skeletons, dinosaur skeletons that would have good detail, be reasonably priced, and would have some ability to be laid out in maybe a couple ways. So kits that come apart and things like that. What I ended up finding. So here's a little tip for what I ended up using here. These are oh gosh, Dino Horizons. This is part of, they have these models as you dig them out of clay like you're excavating them, but then I found they had, and I didn't want to go that route because that's just, wasted time digging them out. But then I found that they have some that come in these little containers that are just the kit by itself without having to dig it up. And whoops, oh my gosh. Yeah, threading skills. Anyway, this thread's on there. Get on there. Okay, there we go. Anyway, they come with some fairly simple instructions for assembly. Here, I'll give you a quick look at that. Yeah, there you go. Put it together. But you can see the parts that it comes, in. The body is in 2 halves. The head is in 2 halves. It mounts on a ball joint. The legs are separate. That sort of idea. So what I decided to do, you don't want to just lay down, a skeleton because it's going to look awkward. This is the T-Rex skeleton for comparison here. So you need to get it a little flatter onto the surface, because bones, typically joints will separate, bones will lay down, and I wanted something that's going to appear like it's been buried in the snow. So, the way the skeletons normally, it's got these sockets to receive the legs, and then the legs, let's see here if I can do this, here we go. So there's like a little pin joint, and it sits in there. But then when you lay it down, it's gonna look kind of awkward. Like why is his foot sideways, like when he laid down, wouldn't his arm kind of slough and collapse, that sort of idea. So what I decided to do was to take, half the skeleton. I like it with the head, sort of, you can lay it like it, died in a painful last, think of it like that. But then what I did is I cut off the joints for the body, and that way I can lay at least some of the bones in a slightly different angle, like they've been separated, and lay them out. My hope was to be able to melt or to soften the plastic the way you can do with some plastic miniatures, so that I could flatten out the foot and have the the feet laying flat on the snow. And what I discovered is that this plastic is really quite hard and a little brittle, and by heating it up enough to get it soft, you can see when I pressed into it, I actually pressed in some fingerprints into the surface of the plastic. So it's not something that you can really heat very easily and get it soft and pliable without damaging the surface texture. So I decided to avoid that and just go with breaking off some of the joints and laying them flat. And I can hide like the toes with a pile of snow, that sort of idea. So I picked up a variety of them. There's like a 6-pack, and you get a Pteranodon and a Stegosaurus and a Velociraptor and a Tyrannosaurus Rex, a Stegodon, and Triceratops, I think is something like the 6. In any case, it gives you the ability to lay in half the body and get, I think, something that's going to look pretty nice. Now, the next thought was about painting it. And so what I did, here's the Pteranodon arm. What I did is I just built up to a sort of semi-bone white, but not really white color for the top surface. And I think that color is going to look really good against the snow, as it's a little bit darker and it doesn't have the pop-out white, that the snow will have. So it'll actually give a little color contrast and look fairly believable. I gave this a little wash to bring out some of the joint details. So that's the thought I'd like to do with the skeletons. That would be a relatively quick paint job because I'm only going to paint it from the top with the airbrush. build it up to that color at the surface, give it a quick wash, mount it on the board, snow in around it, and then even off of some areas I can add some frozen icicles and things like that, like it's been really locked into a frigid environment. So I'm thinking maybe add 2 or 3 of these to the boards, and I think that will add a lot of theme to the set. I like the scale of the models, and I was just pretty pleased with the find overall. A little nervous doing the hunt. Some of the models I noticed don't have separated ribs. They have like a plastic underlay under them, so that was something I was really looking for, because that's going to really add a lot of realism to the set. So anyway, there is my proposed... there we go. My proposed boneyard models for the board set. So that gives you a chance to take a look at the set as a work in progress, it's nice. Actually, it's been going a little slower than I would have liked originally, but sometimes it's nice to have it set aside for a little while to come back and take a look at it with some fresh eyes, and also allow some time for some other modifications to be put in along the way. But once the customer approves, where I'm at right now, I can get on to getting these skeletons painted up if they work out, and get them mounted onto the board and get some snow and ice on them and the rest of the boards as well. And hopefully I'll have them wrapped up within, say, a week or so. That would be a great goal. So keep your eye on the channel for the finished video of them down the road. And also I will have a couple other videos coming out relatively soon with some modifications to some existing pieces that some customers have requested. So give them a chance to see it and give you a chance to see it as well. So thank you once again for joining me. I do appreciate it, and I appreciate all the feedback and all the new subscribers that are constantly coming in. It really is it's very flattering, and it's rewarding as well. So thanks again for joining me, and I will talk to you soon.